Howdy folks, how are y'all doing? My name is Rees, and welcome back to the Tekkit SMP Let's Play Adventure, where today we're going to be tackling some electronics. Specifically, we'll be looking at the mod IC2 Classic, and we'll be building a generator, a BatBox, a number of alternative generators, as well as some of the machines that I think are most useful early on, including the electric furnace, the macerator, and then later on in the video, a compressor, an extractor, and a canning machine, because I think all of these are pretty good to have early on. Obviously, that is a lot of ground to cover, so if there's something you're looking for specifically, check the description of the video for the timestamps. And before we get into it, I did want to say that I recorded an in-between episode for channel members and Patreon supporters, where we went back to where we died in the last episode, and we got back all of our stuff, which I have tucked away right out of sight over here. So that was great. Didn't get revenge because I accidentally zoomed back home with the crystal wing, which we'll need again today, actually. But if you want to watch that, you can either become a channel member here on YouTube, or you can actually watch it right now for free on the Patreon. Now, that's not going to be the case with future sort of in-between supporter-exclusive episodes, but for this episode, episode 1.5, it's available completely for free. I'll put a link in the description, and you can go watch it on Patreon right now. No membership is required, no paid membership, no free membership. Anyone can just go watch it if you'd like to, but maybe consider supporting over there while you're there, if you want to. But let's get into today's episode. First things first, in order to get started with IC2 Classic, you need to find a rubber tree and collect some sticky resin, and the reason for that is that we're going to need cables to build a lot of these items, as well as to run them all together. So if we have a look here at our battery, for example, we already have redstone, we found that in the previous episode, as well as 10 ingots, but what we don't have is rubber for our copper cable. So that comes from sticky resin, and that can be found all over the world, but a couple of places to check. Anywhere where there's trees, obviously, but in particular, swamp biomes. Now, before we head out on this adventure, we need something specific in order to collect the sap, and that is going to be the tap over here. It's called the tree tap, and it is manufactured using 5 pieces of plank. I could have just said 5 planks. I don't know why I went with 5 pieces of plank. It doesn't really make a whole heck of a lot of sense. Also, do we not have the lumber for it? I mean, barely. Fortunately, it doesn't matter what you use. You can mix and match if you feel so inclined, which is what we're going to do here. That'll give us our tree tap. And this normally has pretty low durability, but remember, in the last episode, in our bubble slot, we have our repair talisman, which means that this will repair over time, which this is also useful for the crystal wing. Now, we found the crystal wing early on. Was that in our starter chest that we had? Or I can't remember exactly where we found it, but if you don't have one, which makes sense, why would you? The recipe is actually pretty simple. You will need 3 gold ingots, 2 feathers, and an ender pearl. So just kill an enderman, do some mining, kill a couple of chickens, you can build the crystal wing, and normally what the crystal wing is designed to do is whisk you back to your home when you're far away. I do recommend building one of these early on because it's super helpful. It's going to be helpful for us when we go out to find a tree, but a right click will take you home. And I'm almost positive that it typically consumes a bit of durability, but that's not a problem for us because we do have the repair talisman, and I might also just be misremembering. All right, well, where's my boat? I had a boat. Did you eat my boat? Shark? What happened here? Where is my boat? This guy's been here, I guess, since the last episode, so we've taken care of him. Is that a bird? We're off to a swimming start. Again, please, timestamps, use them. There is a boat. I feel like that shouldn't have been up there. We're going to take that boat and these carrots. Not all of them. We don't want to accidentally eat all of our carrots. We need to replant some of them at some point. We're going to go on an adventure now to try and locate a rubber tree. And if we have a look at the map, I don't believe we've gone in, near, or within the vicinity of any swamps. At least not to the south. So what I'm going to do, I'm almost positive we'll find some if we just go to this little forest over here. But I might go up north as well. Let's start off in our little forest here. Now, they are very easy to spot even from a distance because rubber trees have usually 2 or 3 leaves on top of them sticking straight up. So they are very striking against the horizon. And also, they kind of a little bit look like someone flipping the bird, right? Like giving you the finger. And in fact, I think that might be what that is right there. You see it poking up above the horizon? That may well be our first rubber tree. Now, there's some important things to know about rubber trees. Yeah, I can tell that that's a rubber tree because I can tell from the bark on it. It's got this very sort of pale-looking wood. Yes, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so that right there is where we're going to tap the rubber. So we just right-click using our tree tap, and we should get a couple of pieces of sticky resin. And there it is. And as you can see, that immediately repaired itself thanks to the repair talisman. Now, you don't want to cut this tree down because, as you can see, the outline of where that came from is still there, which means in the future, it will repopulate, and we can collect from it again. Now, that said, we're actually going to harvest this tree in the hopes that we get a sapling. Now, if you don't get any saplings or only get 1 or 2, nothing went wrong. These trees are just notoriously difficult to get saplings from. They don't drop all that often. So what I'm doing right now is I'm removing all the leaves around it just to see if there's any more resin on the stump there. And it sounds like we did. Oh, we picked up a couple of them. Okay, maybe it's not as bad as I remember, or maybe it's changed a little bit in more recent versions, because it definitely sounds like we're getting a number of these saplings, which is great. So now we can cut down the wood. And the thing about the wood is you can actually get more of the sticky resin from the wood if you know how to process it. So if you have a look at uses here, obviously if you cook up the rubber tree, naturally it's just going to turn into jungle wood, which admittedly I don't get it either. But if you run it through an extractor, it'll turn the rubber wood into rubber. And we're going to build an extractor because something else we can do is we can take our sticky resin, and normally what you do is you cook or smelt the sticky resin to get rubber. But if you run it through an extractor, each single sticky resin gives you 3 rubber. So it's a much, much more efficient way of getting rubber. And that might not seem like it's important, but trust me, when you're doing really big projects, it's very helpful. So we've got 4 sticky resin, which is not quite as much as I would have hoped. I will take this opportunity to look around the forest a bit and see if I can't spot maybe a few additional trees, at least 1 more. Timestamps in the description. I cannot stress that enough. If you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to watch this man run around a forest trying to find trees, I get it. I don't want to be doing it. What's up? He was baffled by our presence. I'm going to return to my boat, and then, like I said, I'm going to go north a little ways, just kind of have a look around there, because we are also looking for where we might want to move our house to, because we're going to outgrow our little island over here, and while I definitely think we'll keep it as a sort of outpost in the future, I'd like to find a really nice area to kind of move operations to and build a massive base. Also, I'm looking for more rubber trees, and also, if we get up here to the pirate ship and we don't see anything, we're going back. Ah! Got us another one. So there we go. Bit of sticky resin got stuck up top. Ah, nice. Come here, you. So that tree there netted us no additional rubber tree saplings. So like I said, they're pretty rare. Not so rare that you'll never get them, but yeah, sometimes you'll cut down an entire tree and you'll not get even one. So we were very fortunate to get the 2 that we did from the first tree. Now we can head back home and begin the processing process. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these in here, along with our fragmented carbon, which I explained extensively in the last episode, and I'm not going to go into it again. Then I'll head upstairs, and I will plant the 2 rubber tree saplings, and hope that they grow up very quickly. Oh, no. Oh, you know what? We should probably put torches up here, now that I think about it, because this is not going to fly. That's no good. I don't think you can get... Oh, heavens! Oh, I was about to say, I don't think you can get back up here. Where did you even come from, sir? Stop this. Oh, no. Well, that's great. Here's another tip for you. You can press F7 on the keyboard to bring up this little grid that will show you where mobs can spawn at. If it is green, mobs cannot spawn there. We're talking about enemy hostile mobs. If it's yellow, they can spawn there, but only at night. And if it's red, they can spawn there at any old time of the day. So even though these emit some light, these beehives, they do not prevent spawning, which is a good thing to know. I'm going to place down some torches. Probably all the torches that we have at the moment. In order to hopefully prevent incidents like that from happening again. We might have to go make some more. I'm going to plant one of these, say right there. And I'll plant the other one right here. And then hopefully that'll do just fine for now. Get ourselves some additional torches. Notice that right here at the very top of our staircase, we could have actually had something spawn, which would have been a bit of a disaster. Alright, this place is slightly more secure now. Let's get back to business. I'm going to make a little bit more room down here so that we have space to put all of these new contraptions down. And it's not quite so claustrophobic, because right now I feel very cramped. And that's why I really do want to get out of here and found a new house somewhere out in the broader world. I'm going to open up a window there. You can at least see outside, and it's not so oppressively cramped in here. Alright, I dug out the room, I made a nice big window where we can get some fresh light in there, and don't you just love connected textures? I think they look swell. Now, we can truly get things underway. The best place to start is going to be with a generator and a BatBox. The generator is the most basic method of generating electricity, and the BatBox is the simplest and easiest to manufacture way to store the generated electricity so it's available whenever you need it, as opposed to constantly having to keep the generator running. There's two different recipes here, and one of the recipes requires that you already have an iron furnace and are willing to sacrifice it. Now, the iron furnace is just a furnace made out of iron. Alternatively, you can take a regular furnace and add a bit of iron to it, and that actually saves you some iron. This requires 8, this requires 5, and 8 stone. Stone's pretty cheap, so I'd actually recommend going with this recipe. Now, by the time you get here, it kind of balances out, because a machine block is made up of 8 refined iron, which is just essentially double-cooked iron. You just re-smelt it. So you either have 8 of those, or you have the 5 iron used here, and then you combine it with 3 more iron. They kind of come out in the wash, don't they? Now, we didn't talk much about the iron furnace in the last episode, which is a shame because it's actually really good. It's much more efficient than a regular furnace. A regular furnace will cook up 8 items with a single piece of coal, whereas an iron furnace will cook up 10 items, which is pretty helpful, but both of them are not as good as like an electric furnace, which we're also going to build today, but I'm going to go ahead and for the recipe, for the sake of the recipe, I'm going to do this one up here. That is to say, I'm going to build the iron furnace, just so we can say we did it, and then we'll turn it into a generator. And now might be a good time to point out that you're probably going to be building a lot of generators, because even if you decide not to use the generator, and instead you want to use a water mill, or a windmill, or a solar panel, or a geothermal generator, all of those still require a base generator in the recipe. So get used to this recipe, memorize it, prepare to make it many times. We will be manufacturing many generators throughout the course of this series. I'm just letting you know in advance. Now, we need to turn at least 3 of these into refined iron, so I'm going to put them back into the furnace, and we'll use the fragmented carbon to cook those up. Meanwhile, over here, we will combine the furnace I already built with some of the iron we've already processed or prepared, and we will build an iron furnace. In addition to an iron furnace and 3 refined iron, we also need a battery, which is going to require 10 redstone and a copper cable. Now, we gathered a lot of resources in the previous episode, including some tin, which I did not have the foresight to go ahead and cook up, so I'm going to rip the iron ore out of there before he even has a chance to finish, and replace that with some tin ore. And remember, the reason that we use the stone macerator, we talked about this last time, but the main benefit is for every single iron ore or tin ore or any ore that you put inside of it, you get 2 dusts, which can then be cooked up into 2 ingots. So it doubles your output. 1 tin ore becomes 2 tin dust, and then 2 tin dust become 2 tin ingots. So if you want everything that you do in the mines to go twice as far, gotta build yourself a stone macerator, and then eventually the better electrified version, which we're also building today. The other thing that we're going to need is some copper ore, and we're going to need that turned into copper ingots. So I think we're good on tin for now. I'm going to swap in the copper. And we'll probably be swapping those out a lot today until we build the upgraded generator, but I think I've got everything I need now. 4 tin ingots, 2 redstone, bunch of rubber, just waiting on these. There we are, copper ingots, and we actually need at least 3 of them in order to build copper cables. Copper cables are required to run electricity around. They're sort of the most basic type of cable you'll want to use early on, particularly the insulated ones with the rubber. You can make a regular old uninsulated copper cable. I don't advise it, you can shock yourself on it. But in order to create 6 copper cable, which is sort of the most basic recipe, you need at least 3 copper ingots. And even if you want to make uninsulated ones, you still need at least 3. So I'm going to throw in some copper dust and get that cooking. So now that we have 6 copper cable, I'm actually going to turn them all into well, we could make uninsulated, and you can actually take uninsulated copper cable and combine it with rubber to create, well, actually, let's just do that. Yeah, so as you can see, you got this recipe here, and that'll give you 6 of those, or you can go ahead and create the uninsulated copper cables, and it, the actual items used is exactly the same. Add some rubber, and you can make it into a copper cable. This is useful if you don't have 6 rubber, but you do have the copper ingots that you need. You can go ahead and just create however many of these you need in the moment. Right now we only need 1, so let's just make 1. That'll get you the advancement energy flow, and we'll be making a lot more of them in the future anyway, but let's keep this area clean. Let's get rid of tree tap by pressing A to dismiss it from our quick select here. Now for the generator, we just need to build the battery. Copper cable, redstone, 10 ingots. We're going to hit move items, and that'll pull it in there to make the re-battery. And then we can do the same thing here again. That'll pull in our iron furnace, our refined iron ingots, and our re-battery to create our generator. Let's go! We've made the advancement suitable power. We're going to put that down right there, and then the next thing that we're going to need is to build the battery box. Everything here is now familiar. You know all about planks, of course. We just made some batteries. We need to make quite a few more. And then the only other thing we need is a copper cable, which we can make that right now. There we go. Except we need more than that, because we got to make 3 batteries. Hey, look at this! All of our rubber trees have grown. Now, we can get rid of the leaves. We don't need those anymore. And that way, we might even collect ourselves some additional saplings. And it'll expose all of the different tap points that we'll have. I'm going to go ahead and collect some more of these while I'm in the area. And again, we're not going to cut the trees down, because those will repopulate in the future. And really, I'm just killing time while I wait on more tin to be ready. So batteries, we'll need the 3 of those, and we'll combine them with, we need some form of plank. This will have to do. We really need to consider upgrading our tools here soon, because goodness me, we can do better. So we should have everything we need now to build the battery box. And if we have a look at the battery box, you'll notice that one side has a little green symbol, and all of the other sides have not green symbols. If you're not using a resource pack, I believe it just has some dots, but the idea is that power can flow into any single side of the BatBox, but it can only flow out of the green side, or, well, the side that is different. So if I right-click it into the generator, the green side pokes out in this direction, which is fine, except we don't actually want that to be the case. Now, here's something you can do with a BatBox that you can't do with a whole lot of other things in the pack, which is you can break it with a pickaxe. You can't do that with a lot of the machines we're going to be building. A lot of the machines that we're building, like let's say our electric furnace or a macerator, if you attempt to break them with a pickaxe, you'll just get some random components. Typically, with a macerator, for example, you'll get a machine block, and you'll just have to go rebuild it. I'm going to show you how to get around that, but I think I actually want to run power underground, so I'm going to see if I can't place this in such a way that it'll just naturally point down. If I get down here and I look straight up and I click, there we go. Of course, another option, and arguably probably a better one, would be to put this thing under the generator. And then as long as the green side points straight out, there we go, we can now fit 3 machines all in a row right next to the generator. Let's get to generating power. So we're going to first off figure out what happened to our coal, and then we're going to throw a coal in there, and the generator will begin burning the coal to generate electricity, which will automatically move into the BatBox. To get power back out, what we'll want to do is manufacture a few more copper cables. Again, going with the insulated variety so we don't hurt ourselves, and we can run them along just like that. And now when we plot machines on top of them, they'll accept power from the bottom. Now, you could put machines directly next to the generator, and it will output power to machines directly next to it. Same with the BatBox, so long as they're on the side with the green marking, assuming you're using BDcraft, link in the description. But using cables is obviously much better because you can have a whole line of cables and then a whole line of machines. I'm going to put a bit more coal in there so it'll continue to generate power because we're not even close to filling up our BatBox. I'm also going to hit A to dismiss the BatBox, but we're going to leave the generator there because we'll need it for a few other things. But before we get to alternative methods of generating power, I think it's going to be better for us in the long run to go ahead and build our electric furnace and our electric macerator. And I actually want to start with the electric macerator because it is much faster than using the stone-powered macerator. I say stone power. It's a stone macerator. It's not powered with stone. It's powered with coal. You all know this. As you can see, though, if you have not already built the stone macerator, you don't need to. You can skip that and go directly towards building it using a machine block, which we talked about before. It's just a circle of the refined iron, and then you just add some cobblestone, some flint, and an electronic circuit. And we've not built an electronic circuit before, but I'm going to hit A to save it over here to our quick select, because we're going to be building a lot of these, and they require quite a few copper cables, some redstone, and again, refined iron. We're going to be using a lot of refined iron throughout the course of this. I'll go with this recipe because we do already have the stone macerator, which I think just stopped running, by the way. It did indeed. Let's collect it. We're not going to use it anymore. Its day has come and gone, although really, it will live on in the form of our new macerator, so it's not all that tragic or sad. Copper cables will be good on as soon as we get a bit more rubber. Okay, we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to recollect these, and we're going to use them because I don't want to wait on getting more rubber. So we will combine the 6 of those, as well as 2 redstone and a refined iron to get the electronic circuit. And then I actually need 1 more refined iron. Kind of forgot that I needed 1 for the socket. Why? Why do you bother me? Do you know that I have a fear of sharks in video games? Is that what this is? Is this targeted? Is this targeted harassment? What do I do with shark teeth? What use do they serve? What? Hold on, wait, what? Hold on. Am I going to become that which I fear most? I can also make a fishing net and a shark axe? What? These are good damages as well. These are 9.5 attack damage. The shark-matic. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me look these things up. I can find no information about this item online. Okay, well, I'm assuming that works like an axe. What does the matic do? It kind of looks like a pickaxe to me. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it kind of just looks like it is a pickaxe. Why are there so many of them? We got to decide. Do we want the matic? Do we want the matic or do we want the axe? The axe kind of looks like it can be used as a weapon. Okay. Macerator. At last. We'll throw it down right over here, and it'll start accepting power from below. And now we can start processing our various different ores inside of there. So, for example, we'll throw in a tin ore, and it works pretty much exactly the same. It'll process it and then spit it out over here. Now, we can automate this in a few different ways. We can use hoppers to feed things in, which is sort of, I think, the way most of us are used to, as well as to hop items out, I presume. You can use engines, and you can pump items out like that, or this mod actually has its own automation tools. So, for example, if we want to automatically pull items out, we would need the basic export upgrade. This will export 1 item at a time, and back in the day, there was a bug where it would only export 1 item, even though it produces 2. That might have been fixed by now, but before you had to actually upgrade to the export upgrade, not the basic. Now, this recipe looks complicated, but it really isn't. Let's start with this one down here. I'd actually recommend going this route because you can build a bunch of these base upgrades and use them for both the import upgrade, the export upgrade, the overclockers, which make the machines run faster but use more power. The base upgrade is a pretty simple recipe. Copper or silver. Silver gives you more of them, just throwing that out there. Some copper cables, we built those before. An electronic circuit we've built before. And then a mining pipe is just a tree tap with a bunch of refined iron ingots. Once you have a bevy of those upgrades, you then combine them with, in this case, a piston and a redstone torch, and you've got yourself your basic export upgrade. And then you can configure that to automatically export to a chest, maybe on top of the machine. Maybe you can't export up. There's some quirks with it. I'm pretty sure you can import down from above. Also, did you all hear a pig just then? Is there a pig on my island? I don't think so. Also, I just realized that the minimap was still on, and it really just doesn't need to be. We're going to deal with automation in the future. What is that? What is that? Hello? I mean, yeah, I am concerned about the sharks, but what am I looking at? One moment, please. I need to go investigate. What is this? Is this a jellyfish? It is. Why can I see it through the wall? Now I can't. Oh, heavens! Get away from me! Go! Shoot! Leave me alone! Stop it! How hotly is this thing pursuing me? Oh gosh, why? Go away! Leave me be! I've done nothing to you! That jellyfish was my friend, says the shark. I was going to demonstrate the macerator, and we missed it. I'm just going to throw the rest of that in there. As well as, I'll just go ahead and throw all my coal in there. That's fine. let's get to work now on an electric furnace, which is just a more efficient furnace. For starters, this recipe once again requires the iron furnace, which once again requires either 8 iron or 5 iron. One of those is better. So, furnace and then 5 iron to get the iron furnace. From there, we just need to combine it with an electronic circuit and 2 redstone. The only issue for us right now is that we have to wait until we can get some more of the sticky resin. There we go. I was hoping that would be there when I came outside, and it was, and I am grateful. Only 3, though. Not quite enough. We didn't get any more saplings either from breaking those leaves, I don't believe. Puts us in a bit of an awkward situation where I might need to go back to the mainland in order to get some more resin, because gosh darn it, we're running low. See, that's enough to get 3 more, but we need 6 because we have to build another. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go on an expedition. What do you reckon's happening down there? Whoa. Look at those mountains. Now that looks like a cool place to build a base. Yes, indeed. That's where I'm thinking we're going to end up. I'm going to do something this time that I kind of intended to do, but completely forgot about last time, which is that I'm going to bring the boat with me, and in that way we can just whisk ourselves back home using the crystal wing, assuming I find what I'm looking for here. And this place doesn't end up being a horribly slow, laggy mess, which it kind of appears like it's going to be. What is wrong with this world? Or is it my game? Did I not assign enough RAM to the pack? Well, I've assigned up 16 gigabytes, so I don't think that dedicated RAM is the problem. Does anyone know what happened to dedicated RAM, kid? Is he alright? Did he get bullied in school? I hope not. Aha! We were laughing with you, kid, not at you. I want you to know that. I love you, dedicated RAM, kid. That's one of my favorite things ever. Oh, we found 2 right next to each other. Epic. Buddy. Alright, so we're coming out of this with 6 additional sticky resin, as well as 4 new rubber tree saplings. Let's not waste any time. Let's get ourselves back home, lickety-split. Lovely. Ah, buddy. Oh, why? Is anyone else having weird issues like this with their Tekkit SMP world? I'm wondering if this tree's gonna actually fall down. Thankfully, yes. I'm not planting all of these. I'm going to save 2 of them, because remember, we are planning on relocating in the future, and we'll need those to start a fresh farm. In the meantime, let's get those processing. We will build the 3 additional copper cables that we need. Alright, electronic circuit, combined with a couple of extra pieces of redstone that I should have thought to put in my inventory already, and the iron furnace that we already manufactured will give us our electric furnace, which is like a regular furnace, except it's powered by electricity. And of course, that will need to be wired in, so we'll get ourselves an additional copper cable. Plop that down there. And there you have it. That is sort of the very early IC2 setup that I think all players should, and most players do, create in their early Tekkit worlds. Your generator to generate power, a BatBox to store it, and then a Macerator to grind items up, and a furnace to then cook them. And the electric furnace has some advantages over a regular furnace, not just the fact that it uses electricity, which is kind of easier to generate and maintain than just constantly throwing coal or coal bits into it. It's also faster by about 53%. I'm reading that directly off the wiki. I didn't have it memorized. But it can be used to cook up tin, for example, and you can just watch this here, and you can tell that obviously that's faster than a furnace. And it can be made even more faster using certain types of upgrades, like the overclocker upgrade, which can be used to make machines much, much quicker. I'm going to remove the electric furnace off of our list of things to manufacture. Now, I'm having to make a bit of a tough choice here. My plan was to do all of this in one video, but looking at the recording time and trying to imagine how I'm going to edit all of this down, I think it's going to end up being a really long video if we do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to break off these additional ways of power generation and save them for the next episode. That'll be alternative power or something along those lines. And for now, we're going to go ahead and build an extractor. I wanted to build a canning machine and I wanted to build a compressor, but I don't think we'll make it to those today, and that's okay because we don't necessarily need them. The extractor is going to be super useful though. In fact, if we look at uses for an extractor, you'll see that there's a lot of really cool things you can do. So if you have Silk Touch on your pickaxe and you collect whole coal ore, throwing it in an extractor will net you 3 coal. Lapis will give you 10, diamonds will give you 3. If you go through here, obviously we can extract the rubber more efficiently from sticky resin. You can also get it out of the saplings, but I never recommend doing that. Get it out of all of this extra wood we've got. There, you can get your flint out of gravel. There's a ton of really useful things you can do with it, including dyes. I didn't even know about the dyes. That's really cool. Also, having Silk Touch would be useful for things like, for example, redstone ore, which, if you have a look at that, you can throw it in the Macerator, and each single redstone ore will give you 16 redstone. That is really efficient. So, yeah, getting Silk Touch might be something we need to consider. Gotta go find a villager, and then we gotta trade them for it. Shouldn't be too hard. Emeralds? We've got one. All of that'll be easier when we can fly, and yeah, we're going to be able to fly soon. Let's focus on what I was saying, though. Extractor, very basic. You need 4 tree taps, an electronic circuit, been there, done that. We've actually not made a machine block yet, because I think we've used every alternative recipe up until now, but that is just 8 iron that has been refined, run through a second time. So let's get our iron ore out, and we will throw that into here and continue macerating that down. And then we will take out our tin dust there, because it's taking up space. Fortunately, we already have some iron dust to work with, so we'll throw that in our electronic furnace. And then one thing I would like to do is be able to check how much power is in the BatBox. And a method that we can use for that is sort of the same we did with our door, where we used the framed door. But this time we're going to get some framed blocks and build a framed, there we go, framed trap door. There's also a reinforced variety where you use iron nuggets, and those are useful because they can't burn, and I don't think they can be blown up either. So that's an alternative recipe for you. And if you already have framed blocks, you can retrofit them into reinforced frame blocks, which is very helpful. There's our framed trap door, and we'll put that down right there. This one was a mistake. Then we just need to get a single piece of stone, right-click it into there, and we have a hidden trapdoor that we can use to check the BatBox level. This tree has no places to put the tap. In other words, it's completely useless. At least it had the good sense to drop a sapling, so it can be replaced. 1, 2, 3, 4. We already have one, but we definitely don't want to use the one that we're currently using because we still need it, at least for a little while. We're not going to be collecting sap forever, though. Eventually we'll be able to make it in a different way that we'll cover in a future episode. Not to spoil things, but there is our extractor, and I can remove that one now from our list. We'll also need 1 additional rubber and 1 additional cable in order to create our final copper cable for this lineup, and there is our extractor. Now moving forward, we can take things like, all of this excess rubber wood that we've got, throw it in there, and we will get 36 rubber from it. This machine is quite a bit slower than the furnace, as you can probably tell, but we can fix that by adding overclocker upgrades, although we do need to be mindful of how much energy we have, which is to say, things are holding pretty steady right now. Then again, we don't have all of the machines going. If I throw some iron in there, and then we also have the macerator going, and we also have the extractor going, ooh, we're barely holding on. Currently, we are outputting 32 EU per tick, which is, I think, how much the generator produces. I can't remember off the top of my head how much each of these machines consume. We could check it on the wiki. But we're good for now. I think we're good for now. And I think that is where we're going to end today's episode. I think that between episodes, I might do another supporter episode, so that'll be available to channel members and Patreon supporters, where I just go hunt some sharks and try to build all that cool shark tech that we saw. What have we got? We've got a shark axe, a shark mattock, and a shark sword. Yeah, I think it would be cool to build those, but definitely not something that needs to be done in a regular episode, I don't think. Not really relevant to the whole Tekkity sort of thing. Until next time, thank you folks for watching. Thank you for being patient and waiting. I know this episode took a long time, but until the next one, God bless you, and I'll see you later. Goodbye!